Welcome to Compression, the quest to $100 million in just 1 year. Join me, your host, Logan Freeman, in this one-of-a-kind interactive podcast experience where I am on a quest to compress 3 years of achievement and production into 12 months. And no, the answer is not to just work harder. I'm bringing you not only ideas and concepts that are complete at the theoretical level, but they're also effective at the applied level. Look, guys, knowledge is not power. It is potential power. Knowledge plus massive strategic action equals power. We're talking about strategy, systems, accountability, all in real time. This is Compression. Welcome back to a special edition of the Compression Podcast. I'm super excited about today's episode because you're going to get put up on game today. We got some good stuff for you today. This is a speaking engagement presentation that I sort of give. I'm pulling out a few slides for you guys today. So this is stuff that I know people would pay for, and a lot of people do pay for. And so you're going to get it free today here on the Compression Podcast, which is very exciting. And then at the end of the show, we're going to go through my 90-day sprint. So we teased this, I believe, last week on what this 90-day sprint would look like. And Jerome's going to give us some pointers on anything we should change or update. And I'm going to take notes in real time. So this is going to be a really cool episode, man. We got 90 days to finish strong. The fourth quarter is here, everybody. It's October 7th right now. So, I mean, we're 7 days in. We're 1 week into the fourth quarter. You know, the first couple passes have already been thrown, you know, and so here we go. It's going to be an exciting ride the next 90 days. And I'm pumped about this. I'm feeling really inspired. I'm feeling clear. I think clarity is the biggest piece, right? I know exactly what I need to do, what I think I need to do. I have the action steps that we're going to talk about, and I feel like I can go execute. And that gives me a lot of confidence. A lot of inspiration to stay motivated and inspired along this journey. So we're going to start with one of my favorite quotes, actually two of my favorite quotes. First one from Brian Tracy. Every minute that you spend in planning saves 10 minutes in execution. This gives you an 1,000% return on energy. And Dwight D. Eisenhower also goes on to say, in preparing for battle, I have always found that plans are useless, but planning is indispensable. So what do these guys mean? Right? Well, I think what these guys mean is very simple. You know, your plan is not always your life is not always going to go to plan. You know, I think one of the favorite things that I always have heard is, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans, right? But the process of taking your mind, your body, your physical being through this planning process is indispensable. And it's extremely important for you to think through those steps and get clear. And if you guys hear me talking, by the end of this, you'll definitely see how clear I am on my personal, professional, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual goals that we're going to lay out for you. And so I know it's not going to go to plan. I know crazy things are going to happen over the next 90 days. I know that I may not achieve every single one of these things, but getting it out on paper has created clarity, which then creates confidence, which then leads to congruency, and that allows me to operate at a high level. So, Jerome, you ready to get started, man?
Let's do it, man.
Okay.
I'm excited about this.
All right. So just a quick reminder for you guys if you haven't listened to the episode of What is Compression, go back and listen to that episode. But really quickly, compression is about achieving more in less time by focusing on effectiveness more than efficiency. Okay. You have to be an efficient person. That's kind of the rudimentary base foundation. You got to know how to be efficient. I'm not here to necessarily tell you how to be efficient. What we're here to focus on is effectiveness. So the things that you're being efficient with, if they're the wrong things, then you're just kind of, you're just a productive person with things that are not going to create results. And that's not what we're here about. So we do this by aggregating and implementing what are called eponymous laws. Eponymous laws just means this law has been, or this principle has been named by somebody. So don't get worried about the big name there. And mental models to create frameworks that you can use as filters to make better decisions. Okay. And then create and stick to habits that lead to systems and results in you achieving your goals in less time. My three favorite eponymous laws, or laws of forces of nature, mental models, are the Pareto principle. So the law of the vital few, 80% results from 20%, and it's fractal. So you can take that even a next step. And you can take the 80% of those 20% and you'll get actually 4%, and that'll bring even more results. So you can break that down, which is even better. Parkinson's law, which just simply says, if you give a task a certain amount of time, that's the amount of time it's going to take. And so I started taking tasks that were previously taking me 4 hours, 5 hours, a whole day, and giving them 1 hour. And that's a really cool thing to think through. And then the last one is the Hawthorne effect. Where focus goes, energy flows. And if you have other people watching it, meaning if you have other eyeballs and there's other accountability and there's social proof kind of baked into the Hawthorne effect, you will stay accountable and intentional on those goals. So those are the three that I really, really like to talk about and where I'm focused on a regular basis. And the Parkinson's law, I just heard a new kind of what I'll call iteration of this from Andy Frisella. And it's the power list. And so I use the intentional journal that we're going to talk about a little bit here in this show. But the power list is very simple. Take every single day and you have 5 critical tasks that have to be done. These are not habits. Okay. These are not disciplines. So if you already wake up early, you already work out, you already track your food, you already make a certain amount of calls. Okay. Do not put those on your power list. Put 5 things that are critical for your success to move forward. So maybe it's, hey, I got to have a crucial conversation with that one person. Hey, I've got to meet this one person. I have to create this one piece of content. I need to get those 4 or 5 emails done. So make sure that you're crossing off the right things on there, and they're not daily disciplines and they're not habits. Okay. So that's the biggest thing on that. And you cross them off while you're done. Okay. And at the end of the day, if you have more, so if you get 3 to 5 of those things done, then you can write a W on the page for the day, and you want to stack those wins, right? So that was a cool thing. I don't implement that right now. I may, think about doing the power list, but I mean, I think it's powerful. And, Andy Frisella also gives people if you're an entrepreneur, you're a business owner, if you get those 5 things done by noon, guess what, dude? You can be done. I mean, you can be done for the day. And so, Andy and Ed Milet and all these guys, they always say, we're lazy, man, but we got the 5 things and we knock them out. Ben Newman has his top 3. I think other people have proponents of that, but they can't be disciplines or habits that you've already got ingrained. Like, I can't go on there and say, read 10 pages. I can't go on there and say, wake up early. I can't go on there and say, track my food, because those things are already ingrained. Those are just expected. These are, 5 critical tasks that are outside of those that I need to be focused on. And so those are what I call profit producing activities. Right. And so for me, a lot of those right now is pouring into other people, making sure that they're set up to succeed. I'm reading Who Not How right now, because we talk a lot about the how here. I got a lot of who's. And there's a reason for that. Because when I have all these who's out there working in one direction to a goal that supports what I'm trying to accomplish, then I can compress time because I get to focus on $10,000 tasks and keep the machine moving. So those are the principles. Those are the mental models, the laws of nature. Just again, Pareto principle, the law of the vital few, Parkinson's law, and the Hawthorne effect. A few honorable mentions are definitely Newton's laws of motion. I love those. There's some great articles out there that kind of detail how to apply those to business. The compound effect and momentum, essentialism, and which is basically the deliberate practice of saying no. And then the one thing, right? So making sure that you have your focus on your one thing. I use the one thing as more or less like a overarching theme for a certain period of time, not necessarily, hey, what's my one thing today? I'm past that, but maybe you're not, maybe you need the one thing. Maybe your power list is one thing for the day. That's fine. Get started on that one thing. So that's compression, guys, and stacking that stuff on top of each other is what is exciting to me. You'll hear us talk a lot about goals, right? I always say goals don't work, and so what do you mean, Logan? You're the goal guy. What are you talking about? Goals don't work. I'm being a little facetious here. I'm catching people's attention, but they don't work. Habits work. Disciplines work. Measuring those actions work. Accountability works. And so, you owe it yourself to not just have a New Year's resolution, but create a sustainable system that proven actions that focuses you on a targeted path to growth. And so anyways, just think about habits, disciplines, measuring, and accountability. Those are the four things that you actually need. All right, I'm gonna wrap up here, guys, because we got to get into our 90-day plan here. But the last thing I wanted to say about this is here's where I would start. If you have not started, first off, you will be 24 times more likely to achieve what you're trying to do if you get this type of clarity and you write these things down. So that's been proven. That's a study. That's an academic study, not from me just saying, hey, in my own experience. I have experienced that, but it is proven that you will have 24 times more likelihood to complete what you do if you do get this type of clarity and write them down. The average person spends more time planning a vacation than they do their own lives. Man, that's just sad. That is just so sad, because you think about a vacation, it's a very short period of time. And, you by day 3, maybe you finally can start to relax a little bit. At least for me, it takes 3 days in to start relaxing. But I want you to focus more on your life than you do on planning a vacation. No one size fits all. So the plan that we have here today, that I'm going to show you that I use, it works for me. You might have your own thing that you need to work through, but you got to find one plan that fits all. The more complicated the system, the harder it is to keep up with. Complexity is the enemy of execution. So you got to keep this thing simple. You got to visualize, you got to write it down, you got to be specific, and you got to stay accountable. All things that we've talked about. I read and visualize this thing daily, because I'm a big believer in the subconscious mind, the reticular activating system. And if you get your mind working towards certain things, it's why I keep negativity out of this mind, and so I listen to that, what is your why episode every single morning here, that's on the Compression podcast, and you can read it out loud, you can listen to it, whatever. I think it's important for you to get your mind, especially early in the morning, focused on the right thing, so you can be directing that and manifesting that. And that's where the law of attraction really happens. It's not, let me just think about it and not do anything. It's your thinking becomes your actions, which becomes your results, right? So it's very important to do that. And then you have to expect it to happen, guys. I mean, this is the biggest thing too, is you have to expect these things to happen. And the only way to expect them to happen is to attach reasons to each one of your goals. And you have to have a why for every single one. So I just wanted to share with that. If I was to start day 1, and I had not done this before, and I might be sitting there like, where the heck do you start, Logan? Like, what do I do? Well, I'd start asking myself questions. I get a journal, and I would just get a pen, and I'd put some peaceful meditation music on, and I'd maybe go outside. I don't know, wherever your happy place is. And I would start with these questions. Who are you? What are you great at? What do you love to do? What do you want to accomplish? Why do you want to accomplish this? What are you willing to sacrifice? How are you going to do this? And who is going to help you? And if you can answer those questions, it might take some time, but if you can answer all of those questions, it's going to get you at least started on this journey. Okay. And so, Jerome, before I jump into our GPS system that we utilize on compression here, any thoughts that you would like to add in regards to planning, setting goals up, what we talked about so far?
There is a law that came to mind that didn't make your list that I think is definitely an honorable mention. That's proximity principle.
Yep.
I think people have to get around the right folks if they're trying to expand their thinking.
That's a good one.
This last weekend, I was sitting with somebody who has their own cryptocurrency.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yep. I don't even know what an NFT is, let alone how you set up your own cryptocurrency. But He's made enough money through setting that up that he and the marketplace that came with it that he doesn't have to work anymore, and he's in his 30s, early
Yeah,
30s. So, um,
that's pretty
you
cool.
know, I think with the goal setting, you dropped a bomb on them. I think that was 7 or 8 questions, and when they start writing, they're like, "Oh, this is easy."
Mm-mm.
You're talking about a half a day's work,
Yes,
easy,
easily.
easy half a day's work, and I just don't want anybody to get discouraged when they start going down that journey. And make sure, if you don't do anything else, that you're honest with yourself when you answer each one of those questions. A lot of times people get to the question about what you're willing to give up, and you totally missed the boat. You
Yeah,
say, I'm willing to do whatever or anything, and that's just not true. Right. So make sure you're having an honest conversation with yourself, because that honesty is the foundation of whether or not you have this success. And we can dive in more there, but if you can get that piece right, I think you end up in a really good space.
absolutely, man. That's a great point. Proximity is so key. And, if you say, hey, I don't have a Power Five, well, get to work on creating it. And guess what? If you're watching this, you see all these books. I didn't have a Power Five at first either. I read 750 books to find who my Power Five were going to be. Then I started talking about those books, and my Power Five was manifested into my life. Right. So if you
Yeah,
read
yeah.
750 books and you start to level up, people are going to want to be spending time around you. But you do have to be intentional around that, and you have to have something to say, and you got to have some value. And if you do, then those people will start to be attracted into your life, and then you got to do everything that you can to build relationships with those folks. But all right, let's get to the goal, purpose, strategy. The GPS strategy, I think, is so simple. I think it's common sense, but it's not common practice. And I keep this thing on my background on all my devices, so I'm always looking at this. So I have it on my phone, I have it everywhere where I can pull up if I'm having a tough day, or I don't know what to focus on. I can pull this up, and it directs me. It gives me directions, right? So it's a GPS. It gives me a direction on what to do. So where I'm going to start on this, and if you guys want this template, I've got this template. Shoot me an email, logan@livefreeman.com. I've got the template. I'll pass it on to you guys. You can even see mine if you want mine for this 90 days. You can utilize it as well. But I always start with putting my goal for the 90 days in the form of a powerful question. And so this is my question that I'm asking myself this quarter is, how will you live as a compressor this quarter? Will you rise to the challenge and achieve these goals because you want to, or because you have to? And when your when your shoulds become your musts, is when you start to see changes in yourself. And so that's the biggest piece first, is writing this powerful question that will move you on a regular basis. And then I attach a purpose to each one of these. Okay, so I'll get to those, but the purpose, these are questions that I simply ask myself too. What are the obvious reasons I need to accomplish this? How will I benefit from this goal? What is so awesome about the idea and the vision of reaching this goal? How will other people benefit from this goal? Why is this a must? What feelings will accomplishing this bring me? What are the consequences of quitting? What will this cost me if I quit? Okay, so there's the purpose piece. So we have our goals, and I haven't given you my goals yet because I want you to stay with me here. But I'm working through the GPS system, and this is an Excel spreadsheet. If you guys want it, shoot me an email. We'll get it up on the website for you, no problem. So goal, purpose, so creating those whys, and strategies. So on this sheet, you'll see my goals in the middle, the purpose for every single one of those goals to the right of it, and then the strategy and my starting point over on the left side. Okay, so it just shows you everything that you need very quickly and very simply to be successful and to stay inspired going on the way. So let's go ahead and just jump into this, man. So my first goal, to cultivate a personal relationship with Christ and say no to sin every single day. So what am I going to do, right? What are my current starting points? Well, I'm praying daily. I'm going to mass and adoration every single Wednesday. I'm saying no to sin, but I'm not 100%. And when I say sin, it's not necessarily just a religious thing for me. I mean, it is big, but piece of it also is congruency, because if I am sinning, if I'm lazy, if I'm not protecting my eyes, if I'm overeating and over drinking and doing all the things that I falter to on a regular basis, um, I'm not being congruent with my identity. And so that's a big piece for me too. So that's my current starting point. So actions to take and profit producing activities: pray and meditate daily, multiple times throughout the day. What I've been doing before I pick the kids up is taking 3 minutes, closing my eyes, saying, "Thank you, Lord, for another great day. Help me to be a hero father and a hero husband the rest of this afternoon and this evening to my family," and just kind of letting go of the piece of trying to be on the professional side of things all the time. Gratitude, trading expectations for appreciations, and protecting my eyes. I'm a man. I got problems with my eyes going in certain directions, and if I can stay focused, and it's not just looking at the opposite sex, it's looking at other people's successes and achievements and all of those things. Protecting my eyes from all of that to allow me to stay focused on me and less focused on other people. So that's the goal. The purpose behind it is to live as the best version of myself and use my God-given talents to my highest ability, have the best relationships with my family, and to be and feel love every single day. So there you go, guys. There's goal, purpose, current strategy, starting point, and the strategy to get there. Jerome, do you want me to keep working down the list and we'll go through all of these at the end, or do you want to take them one by one?
Well, I want to go through the whole list, but I
Okay.
just think it's really important that people see that you're reverse engineering. So you're starting at the end, getting your why, and then talking about the how.
Yep.
And or the way that I frame it is what, why, how,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so the how is a place where most people try to start when they don't know why they're doing it. And
Right.
so if you don't have the why, then, and this is the question about, what are you willing to sacrifice to get it? You won't follow through on the what or the how, because the how is the hard part, right? The how is the longest phase of this thing. It's really easy to come up with your what.
Yep.
Then the why takes a little bit longer. The why is the fuel for the how, the actual execution of the strategy. So just keep that in mind as you're thinking through this, because it's backwards for a lot of people.
Absolutely. All right, next goal: to be present with my family, make Taylor feel special, and be on the same page every single day. Why do I want to do this? I want to feel incredible, life changing energy, to be sustainable, and to feel mentally and physically strong. Right? Well, actually, sorry, that's that's for a different one. I jumped the gun on that. So to be present with my family, make Taylor feel special, and be on the same page every single day is important to me, obviously, because it is the second foundational core value to my life. Right? Is faith, family, fitness, future. So I have a very strong why that's attached to focusing on my family, right? So I'm in a good spot right now. I can improve on this. This is my starting point. I need to get off my phone all the time when I'm with my kids. I realize in the evenings I can get off my phone, but guess what? When I'm getting the kids ready in the morning and we're getting ready to go to daycare, that's another time that I've got to start implementing into my routine where I'm not on my phone. So I've got the evening taken care of now. Now I got to get the mornings taken care of. So that's the starting point right now. Put my phone away, trading expectations for appreciations with my family, and just being present. I ask little Bella all the time. I'm like, hey, I want to have a staring contest with you. And she thinks it's funny, and she makes faces at me when I'm doing it. But the love and the connection that I feel with her when I'm just staring at her, because we've got all the other things going on in life. When I just get that 10 seconds with her and she can feel my love coming and I can feel her love. It's just an incredible little thing that we've been doing together. And I call it a staring contest. It's definitely not. I'm over there trying to show her that she's being seen and she's being loved. And so just little things like that I can continue to do. But one thing that I will do is in the mornings, staying away from the phone while I'm with them, getting them ready to go when they're eating their breakfast. Just be there. They love to hear Daddy sing, so I sing all these funny songs to them, and Isabel likes to sing along, and Ezra starts dancing. So it's just a little fun thing that I don't think Taylor really likes it very much, but I think it's kind of funny.
She's got to deal with it.
She's got to deal with it. So that's the second one. The third one is my fitness, right? So you'll see a theme here: faith, family, fitness, future. It's just the framework for me. It's just everything that I have works through that framework. So to lose 12 pounds and weigh 255 pounds by 12/31/2021. So you'll see a few things here, right? I got my starting point that I'll share with you guys in a second. But I know exactly the amount of weight that I'm trying to lose, and I have a deadline to it. So I'm very specific, and it has a deadline. Okay. And the reason I want to do this: feel incredible, life-changing energy, to be sustainable, and to feel mentally and physically strong. Guys, since May, I'm down 20 pounds. And, I'm a big guy. You can see 20 pounds on me, but not really. You'll really start to see 40 pounds. So when I get down to, 245, you'll really say, oh, wow, like that, that's a massive change, because 5 years ago, or 4.5 years ago, when I got married, I was, 40 pounds lighter. And those pictures look a lot different than maybe what I look like, 4 months ago or 3 months ago. But I started this in May, and I've been able to do 5 pounds every single month. And so, I know the holiday season is coming up. I got good momentum right now, though, and I'm pretty confident that in the next 3 months, I can lose 4 pounds per month. It'll be a push. It'll be a stretch for me because of all the things that we've got going on, but it's very specific, and I'm here, and I know exactly where I'm at. So when I started this in the beginning of October, I was 267 pounds, working out 1 time per week. I was playing golf. I haven't played golf this week. This is the first week in 6 weeks that I haven't played golf, and I'll detail that here in a second why. Injured my back, and so I've been dealing with a back injury, but it's starting to feel way better. So I'm working out 1 time per week. I was playing golf 3 times per week. Steps are good, and eating is under control. That's the current starting point. So what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to get 3 workouts per week, and I'm working on implementing this. So Parker and I always work out on Mondays. We're going to implement Wednesday workout 2 here this month. So that'll be the second one. And I'll get my third one in by myself, and it'll be mostly Pilates. And I just said that on the record that Logan Freeman will be doing Pilates, but I got to stretch out a lot, man. I got to stretch. I got to get my body moving. I'm using Noom, which is my calorie tracker. I'm walking 8,000 steps per day. These are all things I'm going to be doing. No binge eating and no eating after 8 p.m. So I know exactly what I need to do. I just got to compound the days and make sure that I keep my portions under control. But I'll tell you what, I've seen it happen. I'm down, 20 pounds. I know I can continue to do this, and I'm creating it in a sustainable manner, right? 7-8 years ago when I lost 120 pounds, it was, hey, that's all I was focused on. And that was great at the time. I'm glad I did it. But I can't just make that drastic change. So I have to make things that are sustainable. So that's the fitness goal. Okay, so now we're going to move into the future piece for me. So this is to complete $25 million in transactions and put $100,000 in the bank. And the last one is strategic initiatives for us. So I'm working on, we've talked about this on the podcast, network building. I have a big addition to the team that will be coming here very soon. So I can't necessarily speak to that yet. I've got a $100 million fund I'm thinking about. I got the FTW podcast. My investor relations associate started on Monday. So Lee is now at the company, and I'm training him up. So I want to get him onboarded and up to speed. I'm thinking about different revenue streams as well. So we're seriously getting into land development right now, and taking land and getting the horizontal improvements done, and either selling to developers or developing ourselves. And so we've got 4 or 5 of those projects in the work right now as well. So those are all strategic initiatives that I'm focused on. So where am I currently at? Well, I currently have $11 million under contract and $7 million on the market. Those are our listings, and a total pipeline of 27 million. So I got to get that pipeline a little bit stronger, because I know not all of those are going to close. And to hit the $100 million goal, I got to focus on that. So that's where my current starting point is on the $25 million in transaction. So how are we doing this? Well, I am implementing a new acquisition strategy with outsourcing, which is incredible. So I've got a whole brokerage team that started calling. I've got a back end underwriting team that's already started. I am going to be focused on finding one deal per week. I'm going to work on getting 1031 exchange buyer leads. I'm going to get that other person joined on the team. I'm going to get Lee onboarded, and I'm going to educate my investors. And so those are all things that I'm focused on to do that. And on the strategic initiatives piece, I'm scheduling time these 90 days to just think and work and implement. If you guys remember back in April or May, I took 2 weeks, and I don't know if it was a blessing or not, but I had COVID at that time. And so I was able to take some time and do that. Well, I've got to create a sustainable way for me to do that on a regular basis. And so these are some really big strategic initiatives that need a lot of thought for me to go through. Today, we've got, I think, 7 or 8 hours together as an executive team, and we're going to be spending a lot of time on these things as well. But for me, I need more time to do that. I need more time to read, and I'm going to block that stuff off. So those are the ways that I'm going to focus on that. And so I do have some time in October block, and I need to do the same thing for November and use the focus funnel and the Eisenhower matrix and continue to focus on the who's and not how's. But, I've got a lot of these ideas, and these ideas have to get started. As an entrepreneur, a business owner, you have to be willing to get something started. Every time we have a new project, a new revenue stream, a new something, it's a great idea until it's not, and it just kind of sits there. You have to take some action to get that, and I need that time to be able to think through it and present it and start focusing on it and get buy-in, and then we can go and start implement. So man, those are the 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of my 90 days that I think that if I can accomplish those 4 or 5 goals that I mentioned, that this will be a big winning quarter, and we will finish extremely strong and set ourselves up for success on the first quarter of 2022. Yeah, 2022. So that's how I use goal, purpose, strategy. And so that's it, man. I wanted to get some feedback on some of those goals and see if we needed to tweak anything or what your thoughts are.
I love it, right? The thing that's not there that I want to see there is your significance play. So you've got the praying daily. These are your habits, right? It's a mass adoration, but you're participating in boards. You're doing a lot of work in the community, but it's not showing up. And it's the activity that's not going to go away. It's embedded. It's baked in. So I'd like to see you get credit for that.
Okay.
Because I think it's a part of who you are and what you do. And if you don't have it listed here, it may not get the attention that it needs. I saw you guys, you just did like some type of fundraiser. It was like a soiree, ball, formal event. I think you guys bought a table. So, and I know that some of the projects that you're working on are specifically they're locked in with that nonprofit that does the housing thing. So, that thing jumps out for me as something to maybe incorporate here, not to make it more complicated, but just to show that, it is a point of focus for you. The thing that I really like here, and I mean, you don't need me to pat you on the back, but I think it's awesome, is the wanting to be on the same page every day.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of times people swing in and swing out, and their relationship looks more like a clock than it looks like, this 2 people pulling in the same direction. And when I say a clock, like, a clock is the hands are only on top of each other 1 time an hour, right? The rest of the time they're out of alignment. And for people who are, in a relationship where they're trying to do a bunch of different things, and, you have 2 under 2, you have 2 careers, you have all of these things going on, you might be on the same page where the hands join, but you're all over the place everywhere else. And you're trying to close that gap so that you 2 are always going in the same direction. And I tell you, man, that is going to pay huge dividends for you guys in the long run.
Absolutely.
You won't feel like you don't know the person that you're with. And so, spending the time focused on that, I think, is the answer to making sure that 10 years from now there isn't a surprise, or 20 years when they're out the house that
Yep.
you got to get to know each other again. I think some people get really fearful about that when their kids are in high school. It's like, I'm going to be all alone with this person and
Hmm.
I don't really know them. And so if you can, you either grow together or you grow apart,
Yeah.
and your focus on growing together is extremely rare for somebody your age at the stage you are in your marriage, because
Yeah.
most
I
people are
think
just trying to get all they can get.
that's a good point. And Taylor was excited to share with me. Their company did some sort of vision, personal and professional, and she read me her vision for her professional career and personal career the other day, and it was just awesome. It was awesome to go through that exercise for her, I think personally, and then for her to want to share that with me, and I'm not going to get her to do a goal, purpose, strategy piece, but what I will do is I know where her head's at and what she's trying to accomplish, and so I will shepherd her through trying to do that on a regular basis. Because, I mean, you'll see this, show up all the time. Faith, family. Well, I mean, yeah, I got my kids, but I got her too, and we've got each other, and being on the same page and focused on making sure we're moving in the right direction at all time is not easy, and but it's important. And what I'll say about the last 90 days is I've done a really good job of never raising my voice, of staying very calm and cool, calm and collected throughout the process. And that's paid huge dividends, right? Is like, it's your spouse, it's your partner, it's your life partner, whatever it is. You need to focus on that. You need to spend intentional time there. Last night, put the kids down and I cooked, homemade yellow curry and made homemade naan and did all this stuff. And we had a little date at home last night, because of, me traveling this week and doing some other things. I wasn't able to get her, out on a date. So we created a date and had that time together before I leave today. So I think it's so important, man. All right. That's everything that I had in regards to goal, purpose, strategy, the 90-day sprint. I feel very clear. And I think that's the number one goal of this whole thing, is to create clarity for yourself. And whenever you don't know what to do, you've already had your best thinking and it's already done on a page, and you can just go and take a look at it, and it kind of redirects you on what you need to focus on, man. So I'm super stoked about this 90 days. I hope everybody listening to the Compression Podcast will reach out for the goal, purpose, strategy, or just Google that. You'll see Tony Robbins pop up. You'll see a lot of people that utilize this type of system on a regular basis. But I think I just wanted to kind of document what I'm going to be focused on, so I can stay accountable, right, to you guys, to all the listeners, and to myself. And so 90 days from now, we can come back in December and we can take a look at this and we can say, all right, how'd you do here, here, and here? Step on the scale, I mean, do it. It's all there. It's all measurable. So I'm excited. I'm excited to create these results that are on this page right here, because that's what gets me inspired and gets me moving on a regular basis. Jerome, anything else to add before I end with a quote on the 90-day sprint here?
There's an essence. And so some people may listen to your goals, Logan, and say everything's not measurable. And it's really difficult to measure if you're on the same page with your wife, right? It's really difficult to say the top one. That's the last one I'll talk about. Your desire to say no to sin every day is one that is perfection. You're chasing perfection there. You're never going to achieve that goal, right?
Right.
But you can get closer to it every single day.
Right.
And don't be careful when you're setting goals, guys and gals. Like, we can get so obsessed with achievement of the goal and not the essence of it. The essence of being in alignment with your partner, that harmony, that peace that you feel, or the lack of peace that you feel when things aren't right and the need to get things corrected, there's no substitute for that. And I don't care what number you put on it, you won't be able to say, hey, I checked that box. So I just wanted that out there, because somebody was like, it's not smart, he can't achieve that. Well, but he's trying to achieve a state and a essence, and that's why those goals are okay for him to have in there.
Yeah. And I know you've been spending some time with Dr. Jeff Spencer. He doesn't, he's not a proponent of SMART goals. He's a proponent, I think it's a right
Right.
goals. Yeah.
Right goals.
And, I had a lot of trouble with this going, when I first got started, because it is tough to measure, so to speak. But at the end of the day, I know inside of my heart and my mind, I know on those top two, and I know if she's happy. I know if I'm feeling good about myself. I know about how the internal state is being, and so yeah, it's not necessarily losing 12 pounds or $100,000 or $25 million of real estate, but the reason those are number one and two is because if I am congruent with those, everything else falls in line. Everything else falls in line. And so I've been okay with having those two as my top two goals all the time, not being super measurable. Now, there are activities like date night, like prayer, like adoration, like church, like nonprofits, all of those things that allow me to feel a certain way about those things. So I just can't fool myself with those things. And so if you're just getting started, yes, feel okay about, if you have some of those more intangible goals, but those definitely trickle down to everything else that you're trying to accomplish. So, I've already said this quote. We're going to end with it today, but I think it's so important because Dwight D. Eisenhower was a great president, and I think he was a very smart individual. And I'll just repeat it. In preparing for battle, I have always found that plans are useless, but planning is indispensable. If you do anything for yourself this next 90 days, just go back, listen to those questions that I said to answer for yourself. Out of those questions, put together your first draft of a GPS. Don't worry about it being perfect. I've been doing this for a long time. Don't worry about being perfect. Just get something out there. And when you have a page of your handwritten notes and you see your goal, purpose, and strategy, you're going to get inspired to tweak that, to hone that, and to really focus on that in the next 90 days. I'm excited to hear some other people's GPSs or their 90-day sprints. I'm excited to finish strong and win this quarter. And I guarantee you I'm going to win this quarter. The question is, will you? Thank you guys so much for another episode and tuning in to the Compression Podcast. It's going to be a great one. Next week, I'm going to be coming back with you with a big update on where we're at in relation to the goal. This week, we were able to get over a certain milestone, which I'm very excited to say, and things are moving in the right direction. So appreciate everybody tuning in. If you think somebody should listen to this, please share this episode. This was a very tangible episode for you guys to go implement, and it's the right time. You got 90 days before the end of the year. And the last thing I'll say about the end of the year is it doesn't matter if you're just starting right now. The calendar year is just days and numbers and months. Okay. But if you wait to say, hey, I'm going to start this in January, I'm going to go back in January and listen to this episode, you won't. You want to focus on that right now, and you need to get started. So, Jerome, thanks again for joining the Compression Podcast, and we'll talk with you guys next week.
Boom.
Hey, compressors, if something you heard struck you, made you feel a little bit uncomfortable, good. Head on over to compressionpodcast.com. And then you can also subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast at. If you feel inclined to, please leave us a review. It's obviously helpful. But instead, I'm going to call you out today. I'm going to call you out and make sure that you do your part, sharing this message by sharing it with one person that might need to hear what we talked about today. Be great. Nothing else pays.